Well, this Sunday Answers video is even later than expected. But in addition to being out of town for the weekend, I spent Sunday night sleeping in the van in an O'Reilly Auto Parts parking lot so I could get the charging system on the van checked out first thing in the morning. And then I drove the last 2 hours home with a portable charger tucked under the hood attached to the battery, which is not exactly recommended use, but it got me home. And it turns out that I have shingles. So, well, I hope your week is better. Now, football. First big question was, how would the team come back emotionally? And I think we got a very good answer to that. They were not perfect, but they were focused, they were strong, they were quick, they were sharp. They played like a team with something to prove. Okay, that was good. On the defensive side of things, they did get the pressure, and they contained the quarterback. Pressure didn't always result in a sack, but it was generally good enough to upset the timing of the play and get players thinking, which is the main thing pressure has to do. Beanie Bishop was not at his best, but the coverage overall managed to be pretty good. Sometimes the reason the pressure got there was due to the coverage. And we still have a lot of people talking about, which coaches should be fired if they're not just saying all of them. And the question they should be asking is, how have the coaches managed to put together this good a defense out of the remaining parts? In many respects, we don't have a full set. Although some may say I don't have a full deck, so that works out about even, I guess. We're playing with two Mike linebackers, one of whom is a true freshman. We've got good safeties and corners, but we do not have good backups. Spells is coming along, and that is very good. That has helped. And being able to play Floyd at a special version of Spear, Spear is not the same when he's playing it as when McLaren or Collins or Stokes is playing it. But I love Floyd. I know his coverage is not what we would like it to be, but man, that guy, he's all in and all out. And both of those are good things. So when we're able to use him well, the defense is even better. Yeah, there have been problems in certain games, and there have been particular reasons for it. But overall, this defense has been better than it should be with what we have at the moment. And that's not so much a matter of recruiting and retention the way some people say. Yes, that's still affecting things. But we would have had the depth we needed if we had not had so many long-term injuries. So, man, enjoy it. Now, there was a negative with the defense. And that was the running backs were just getting way too many yards after they got hit. After 2 or 3 guys were on them. There were some missed tackles, but the missed tackles weren't the problem. It was the fact that they hit the guy, and the runner typically got another 4 to 6 yards. And that wasn't just because other offensive players were pushing the pile. And again, that goes back to the fundamental of keeping the feet moving when you hit the runner. Of course, the runner's supposed to keep his feet moving, but the defense has to win more of those battles. And they have done so in the past. I'm not sure why it was the sloppiest aspect of the defense in this game, but I'm sure it will get worked on again. So overall, happy with the defense. Now, they lost focus late in the game, which will tend to happen when you're up big, but it also shouldn't happen. You know it's common, but you still can't just say, oh, well, I can. Hey, I'm just a fan. I don't have to correct it. But I'm sure it's something the coaches have brought up. You have to finish as sharp. Well, if you start sharp, you still need to finish sharp. Let's put it that way. Offensively, Greene came back. Obviously, the running was the best it's been. That was partly Greene, but it was also just, it was partly, the defense gave him opportunities. And he has been taught, when you see that open up, take it. So he was perhaps better at making that choice at the right time. Now, some of those were designed runs, others were scrambles. But he was making good choices. He was hitting the right seam, making an extra cut or two to open things up for the bigger run. So he was, I think, running better and smarter than he had. The passing was mostly good, higher completion percentage, although they, I think, only tried 19 passes for various reasons. I would actually like to see 25 to 30 passes a game. Not necessarily 40 passes a game, but I do think we need to keep the receivers involved. The interception was a bad pass and a bad decision. So that is, again, the negative side of Greene. We hadn't seen it for a game or two, or not so much. But it didn't hurt in this case. But you don't want those even in these games, because you got to keep it clean all the time. You don't want this cropping up when the game is close. I asked which running back would step up. I think the answer was pretty clear. Of course, Donaldson was not fully ready. He did have some problems later, so they didn't need to use him, and they didn't use him. Jaheim White started the game. Jaheim White, well, let's put it this way. Some of you guys aren't Marshall fans, but right now, green and white has to be a favorite color combination. I do believe we will see more of this and better. Now, of course, we've got people out there saying, well, gee, White should have been starting all along. What does this really mean? First of all, it means Brown and his staff recruit well. They spotted White. Lots of programs overlooked him, decided against him. Brown saw otherwise. They went after him, they got him, and coached him. Do not tell me Brown cannot develop players. He and Scott have developed White. He wasn't ready to have too much responsibility early. And we saw some of that when he completely blew the read on a blocking assignment, ended up having to commit a bad penalty. That may have protected Greene from a hit. Well, we had a touchdown on that play that had to come back, which eventually led to the interception. It's the kind of play that shouldn't happen. Even a lousy block would have been enough to let Greene get the pass off. And I'm sure White knows it. It's not that he doesn't care about blocking. It's just that he is still inexperienced. And the coaches finally got him to understand why practice matters. When you are talented, it is very easy to underestimate the value of work. You have to understand that talent is the starting point, not the finish. White has, it seems, come to understand the difference that makes, and really clicked when Big Brother C.J. Donaldson explained it to him. Now that's also a point for the coaches, because aside from, again, picking Donaldson, getting Donaldson, they have coached him to the point that he could and would have that little conversation with White. That's also part of that thing called culture. Another reason why it matters. And Brown is good at it. Okay. Wondered if Gallagher and Ray would continue to evolve. Well, yeah. I mean, Ray had the big pass early, then kind of disappeared after that. Gallagher, we were seeing the screen passes and what he could do with them. Still not seeing Gallagher go downfield. I hope we'll see that against Baylor or in the bowl game. I think by the bowl game he'll probably have had more time to develop some of those routes. But, oh man, receiver was one of the things people were so worried about for this season. Got off to a bit of a rough start, but the young guys have come through. Receiver has been a plus. Carter has not been as good as a number one experienced receiver as hoped. He's got the talent. He's got issues. But, man, when you look at the future of that room, Horton will be back. Clement, Gallagher, Ray, Fox. Cole is likely to be ready next year. If there's a scholarship available, he's going to be one of the guys competing for it. And we've got freshmen coming in who won't need necessarily to contribute next year, but who will help establish more depth. I mean, that receiving room is good, and next year, let's say, great. What else did I have on here? Well, I see. Did Clement play like Clement? Well, we didn't really see him. He was out there for some plays, but throwing 19 passes, you know, not everybody was getting a lot of attention. But overall, it was a good game. I think that decreasing, you know, the selections on the passes may have helped. We'll see how that goes. Of course, eventually we have to broaden that. We didn't see a lot of shifting and motion and we didn't see any of the little quirky plays or new variations that have been coming up most weeks, I suspect that wasn't so much a matter of simplifying for Greene as it was simplifying for White. If he was going to start and play a lot, they wanted to be focused on what he did well and what he knew, and not throwing anything new right now. That's my guess. Again, seems like good coaching to me. I believe things are coming together mostly as I would have expected this season. Obviously not everything. Never happens that way or we wouldn't play the games. But I like what I have seen most of the time. And when I didn't like it, I at least understand, I think, why it worked out the way it did. But the program is good. The results are improving. Everything is in place to have a strong finish and a big 2024. I am predicting a 10 win as the floor for next year. Okay, I'll be back for 1 or 2 additional videos this week before we have the night game against Baylor. So hey, how many primetime games have we had this season? The networks are paying attention. The fans, some of them are paying attention, and some just want to repeat, what they want to believe. And I may do a video about that this week, because there have been some things said that were stupid the first time they were said, and repeating them just every time you say the same thing over again, as the evidence against you piles up, it just gets more stupid. But I will I want to approach it in a rational manner and just kind of point out, the logical fallacies and such that are going on. Anyway, that's my week. That's my view of the Cincinnati, West Virginia game. Now I'm going to look forward. Baylor bowl game 2024. Well, Baylor bowl game, Baylor portal bowl game 2024. Okay. Have a good week. So long.